I want to bring in CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reed. Paula, I want to actually start off with the Inspector General's report. Give us a sense of exactly recapping the White House's position, and were you really surprised by their take today?
No, they tried to argue that this report vindicated the president's concerns about certain people within the FBI and how they handled both the investigation into Secretary Clinton's use of a private email server and also the origins of the Russia probe. But that's not entirely true. In fact, the president has repeatedly claimed that the Clinton investigation was botched or rigged, but the Office of Inspector General report, Rena, it specifically found that bias did not impact the Clinton investigation, that her interview by the FBI that the president and his attorneys have repeatedly criticized, they found that it was appropriate and that there was truly no prosecutable case against her. So the FBI spin today is that, the White House's spin today is that the OIG report vindicates the president's assessment when in fact the opposite is true when it comes to the Clinton email matter.
Paul, I want to also ask you, I know you asked a question about, it's been very controversial, a lot of focus on these children who have been separated at the border from their parents. It was a really passionate sort of interaction when a reporter there pressed her on this, saying, you're a parent. How would you feel about this? This is a serious question we're trying to get at. And then Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying the president is just enforcing the law of the country. First off, is it the law of the country to separate? And what did you make of her response on immigration today?
Well, let's be clear. The law of the land does not require that you separate parents and children at the border. The change that has been made by the Trump administration is that they have decided they are going to prosecute everyone who is apprehended by the Department of Homeland Security who crosses the border illegally. Now, when you prosecute anyone in this country, you are separated from your children. That was a policy decision, a policy change that this administration made back in April. Before that, these illegal border crossings were typically handled as civil matters. You were cited, you were given a court date, and sometimes released, sometimes you were detained. So there was a change here in how the Trump administration approached this. They're trying to say they're enforcing the law and that this is Democrats and this is the fault of Democrats. But what a lot of the reporters here were trying to get at is, does the administration take responsibility for its own policy and what this is doing to families at the border? The Department of Homeland Security chief, she has said on the record, Rena, they are doing this as a deterrent to deter people from coming here illegally. Again, there is nothing illegal about what they're doing, but it seemed that the White House did not want to take responsibility for the effect of this policy change, and that's really what we were all trying to get at. And when someone even tried to play on the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a mother, do you have any empathy? Do you have any concerns about this policy? She wasn't biting. She kept falling back on her talking points, which were that this is the law of the land and they're going to enforce it until Democrats do something about it. But it cannot be more clear about this. This was a policy decision by the Trump administration to approach illegal border crossings as criminal matters. Now, a lot of Trump supporters, they'll be happy about that. They believe that that is a crime and he should be prosecuted. But some people definitely have some difficulty with the morality of separating parents from their children.
I want to also ask you, she came forward about EPA Chief Scott Pruitt, who's had a host of allegations around him, but she actually said that they may have some concerns. Is that a change from the White House's take? What did you make of that?
I would describe that as a micro change, a micro movement in their historically pretty robust defense of the EPA chief. I mean, he has a laundry list of investigations and controversies, and the general question is, what exactly does it take to get fired? And so far, they say they have no personnel announcements, but again, they seem to be moving, even if just a little bit, to become concerned about some of the things that have been raised about his behavior.
And also, she was asked about CBS News' original reporting last night that she may and her colleague may be exiting the White House at some point. She didn't deny it. What did you make of her response on that?
You hit it, Rena. She did not deny it. She took some cheap shots at our colleague, Jackie Alamany, who broke that story, who had that scoop. She tried to suggest that she was out over her skis, but she did not deny it. She has not denied it, and neither has her colleague, Raj Shah. Well, they have been very upset about this, tweeting and expressing their frustration. They have not denied the report, and in fact, other outlets have actually matched that reporting. So we certainly stand by our colleague against those cheap shots and in her really great reporting.
Absolutely right, and great reporting also by Jackie Alamany on Scott Pruitt as well. Thank you and the rest of the team at our CBS White House Bureau there. Thank you very much, Paula Reed, for joining us.